Article 79 of the 1995 Constitution of the Republic of Uganda states that Parliament has the power to make laws on any matter for the peace, order, development, and good governance of Uganda. Parliament also has a mandate to promote and preserve the Constitution and democratic practices. 3 years into their 5-year term, how is the 10th Parliament doing at this mandate? I am Iguma Gabriel, and welcome to Face the Citizens. In the audience, I have honorable members of Parliament, former MPs, people who've studied parliamentary studies, but we have an audience that has eager Ugandans, especially young Ugandans, but also people from the community of people with disabilities. We're very glad that you are part of the show, but you who is watching us at home by television, we are glad that you have joined us. This show begins right now. Let me introduce our panelists. I'll start with the Honorable David Pulkol. He is the Executive Director of the African Leadership Institute. Honorable, welcome to Face the Citizens.
Thank you.
We also have the Honorable Hood Katuramu. He is a member of Parliament representing people with disabilities. He's also the chairperson of the Parliamentary Committee on Foreign Affairs. Honorable, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And finally, we have Mr. Twebaze Hippo. He's an independent consultant. He's affiliated with the Center for Basic Research. He's a part-time lecturer, and he's done parliamentary studies. Hippo, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
All right. Honorable Pulkol, let's begin with you. Honorable Pulkol, we know that the African Leadership Institute does something called the Parliamentary Scorecard. And a parliamentary scorecard is basically supposed to show how, I think, MPs are performing or Parliament is performing. When we get into a discussion about the performance of the 10th Parliament, what should the parameters be? What are the important things for people to look out for to know if a Parliament is performing or is not performing?
Basically, viewers, we're looking as a civil society organization, a public policy think tank, doing research, but breaking that research down to what citizens can digest and can use to engage their elected MPs. So we're looking for evidence of the performance, both the House of Parliament and as well as the individual inside there as members of Parliament, because these are the representatives of the people who have been elected there. So Parliament as an institution, how is it performing? Where is it serving the citizens of Uganda better as an institution? Where is it not serving citizens of Uganda better? And then how about the individuals inside there who have been elected from different corners of Uganda and they have the mandate of many people from Uganda? So what is their individual performance? So are the challenges systemic or is it individuals? Or the performance of individuals, how does it affect the performance of the institution? Or how does the performance of the institution affect the performance of individuals? Which areas need to be rectified administratively, legally, in terms of policy, budget, and so forth to make our Parliament effective? So the parameters are very clear. Two things. We are coming out with two areas. One, their legal mandate. Yes, what does the Constitution say a Parliament should do as an institution? In that case, it is about their representative role of Parliament. That's what we're looking at. We're looking at the oversight role of Parliament. They are nyamparas, they are supervisors of the executive. So is the institution of Parliament supervising the executive? Are citizens happy about that supervision as oversight role? The third role is legislative. They make laws that have effect of law in the whole country. Whether your MP was present or absent, so long as the decision has been made, it is deemed that you were represented in the House, and therefore the law applies throughout Uganda. And then the fourth role, appropriation. They appropriate budget. The government can propose, but Parliament discusses and approves. Any expenditure not approved by Parliament cannot be charged on the consolidated fund, where the taxes of citizens go to. So the government can spend, but must get approval from Parliament. And so that's the mandate, the legal mandate. The second aspect we are looking at is the responsiveness. of how responsive is the institution of parliament, citizens' demands, citizens' aspirations, citizens' rights. So when they legislate, when they approve budgets, when they approve policies, whatever they do, when they do oversight, are they doing it to the best interest of citizens? When citizens' rights are attacked by a department or an individual or a group of individuals, do they speak out? Because if you're a representative, you are representing democracy in two ways. One, protective democracy. You have to protect citizens' rights. That's why you're a representative. To do what? If you are representing us. Then the other is promotional representation. Right. So you promote our interests. The third area we are looking at is I've talked about legislation, oversight, representation, and appropriation.
All right.
Now, how are you responsive? So the same to citizens, to individual MPs. You'd like me to cover that now quickly?
No, let's have Honorable Katuramu. Just you've been an MP for a while. Actually, how many years have you been an MP?
It's really sizable, yes.
No, how many would like to know?
You can say 2 decades.
2 decades, so more than 20 years.
Okay, fine. Yes.
So, Honorable, you've served in a number of parliaments. You're a member in this 10th parliament. From the parameters that Honorable Pulkol has elaborated, has explained, how is the 10th parliament doing?
Thank you, viewers. As you know, what my colleague has explained are really the real functions of Parliament. And therefore, when you are weighing to give a score to Parliament, you consider mainly those 3 aspects. How has Parliament performed in making laws, legislation? That is very important. Secondly, how is Parliament performing in oversight? Are other departments of government doing what they are supposed to do? That is work of Parliament. And the third one, which my colleague mentioned, that is also important, is appropriation. I think, to me, I have witnessed the 6th Parliament. I have witnessed the performance of Parliament in the 7th Parliament, the 8th Parliament, the 9th Parliament, and now the 10th Parliament. Implying that I have had a mandate for 5 terms. It is not an easy achievement. It is a sign of confidence that your voters give you, and I want to thank them.
Actually, we have some of your voters here today.
Now, going back to the question, there had been a lot of, I'm now on legislation, a lot and many laws that have been passed by the 10th Parliament, and which are crucial and important to promote good governance. When laws are passed, they are meant to cure a certain problem or a disease.
All right. What are some of these good laws the 10th Parliament has passed?
I can bring one. It was the anti-laundering money bill.
Anti-money laundering bill. Mm.
The public needs to understand what is now happening not only in their country, but the neighboring countries and beyond. The geopolitics that is now going on. Some few years back, we never had what you call terrorism. But when it came and it reached us, we woke up and we knew that every Ugandan living in Uganda must be provided with maximum security. There must be stability in the country so that people can carry out their activities in peace.
All right. You say that, and yet there is a neighbor of ours that we are not talking to or trading with currently. And I say this with the fact in my mind that you're the chairperson of the Foreign Affairs Committee of Parliament.
Well, we are quite aware. Misunderstandings between countries happen. It is not Uganda alone, but even countries in the continent, you find they have misunderstandings. But what is important is the spirit to resolve these differences.
Okay.
So the problem which we have with our neighbor will be resolved, and I am confident as the chairperson of Committee of Foreign Affairs that efforts to resolve this impasse are going on.
All right.
And I believe in the near future, the borders will be open.
All right.
I believe because of the efforts that have been made by our leaders, both of Rwanda and Uganda and the neighboring countries.
Honorable, I'm going to come back to you, but let's bring Mr. Twebaze into the conversation. Well, there is the role legally that MPs and Parliament is supposed to play. Do the citizens generally understand the role of Parliament and of MPs?
Yes, they do not.
Why do you say they do not?
You see, in terms of defining the roles of Parliament, there is one specific role or a core function of Parliament that other panelists have left out. And we call that constituency service in academics. And that's where the problem lies.
Constituency service.
Constituency service.
Is it legal? Is it part of their legal role, or this is
incidental?
implied?
It is just incidental to their existence in Parliament. Of necessity, they must service their constituencies.
What does this entail?
Well, constituency services entail going back to your constituency, bringing the things in the constituency. People expect them to bring roads, to bring what we call particularistic goods, things that are particular to the peculiarities of their constituencies. Now, the constituencies seem to have misconstrued that, meaning that they must share the little money they earn in Parliament, part of their salary, to service their constituencies. Therefore, they expect them to pay their school fees for their children. They expect them to repair roads where government has failed, and poor MPs do that. That has caused a very big problem you hear of the huge indebtedness that we have in Parliament that have made some Parliament IDPs. They fear.
Okay, yeah. Is that something that the constituents have demanded or misunderstood, or is it caused by the MPs making unrealistic demands or promises when they're campaigning? Because people campaign and promise roads and promise all kinds of services.
It's a function of the legislative environment, the environment in totality in which Parliament operates. Once you go to ask for votes, people ask you for money. But there is no protection against an MP who goes through for votes. That people should not ask for money. You're going to serve people, but people want you to pay them. Okay. He's been the president now, has started paying. They fix it, he pays. We are happy, or the president is happy, because he can pay as long as the resources are available to him. But those MPs who don't have end up in that fix of getting resource constrained, that to the extent that it diverts them from these other important core functions of Parliament once they are in Parliament. Okay. And that translates into the weaknesses of non-performance on oversight, legislation, and other core functions of Parliament.
All right, we need to be going for a break very soon, but Honorable Pulkol, how do we merge those two, contending views where MPs have legal roles and then the roles that the people that vote the MPs expect the MPs to be playing?
I think one is through practice. There's myth and there's reality. There's in terms of people have misunderstood the roles of MPs over many years. And that has brought this myth that their job is to bury people or to pay school fees or medical bills and so forth. So they are loaded with a lot of demands by citizens who want, because they are the only ones who are available. The rest of the departments of government are not there. So the MP is the one they know, they touch, they can lift him up. It's our man, our woman, so there's really a serious role there. But of course, as a people's representative, I told you there are two roles: protecting their rights, okay, when they are attacked, and then promoting their interests. So what Mr. Hippo is saying is one role of an MP to pull development into that area. So he's expected, or she's expected, to play some role and influence when services are being delivered, when programs of government are being distributed, to make sure that the interests of your constituents are also factored in.
All right.
So how to merge these two is, I think, the members of parliament, that's what the scorecard is trying to, one, to educate people what the mandate of citizens are, but also to use Citizens Manifesto. Remember at elections before 2016, People with Disabilities Manifesto, Women Manifesto, Youth Manifesto. There are all these manifestos, Workers Manifesto, which Uganda NGO Forum amalgamated into a Citizen Manifesto. So we have taken that manifesto to become our yardstick, a minzani for measuring the performance.
Okay.
And then looked at what law mandates Parliament to do this. For example, citizens want to live in a non-oppressive
Honorable
legal regime.
We need to go for a break. Let's take a break at this point. When we come back from the break, this discussion continues. Welcome back from the break. Thank you for staying with us here on Face the Citizens. I'm your host, Iguma Gabriel, and today we're looking at the performance of the 10th Parliament. It's 3 years into their 5-year term, and we're taking stock. How is this Parliament doing? Is it actually representing you, the people, that sent it to work? In the first segment, we had clearly what the roles of an MP are and how that is certain times at variance with what the constituents expect. We've been joined by the MP for Gulu Municipality, the Honorable Komakech Leandro. Welcome to the show.
Yes, thank you so much, Gabriel, and good afternoon to everybody.
All right. Our other guests, Honorable Hood Katuramu, he represents people with disabilities, but also chairperson of the Foreign Affairs Committee. The Honorable David Pulkol, he is the ED of the African Leadership Institute, and Mr. Twebaze Hippo, he's an independent consultant. He's done quite a bit of studies in relation to, parliamentary studies. Honorable Komakech, in your view, how was the 10th Parliament performed?
Well, Gabriel, technically, I should not have been doing this evaluation. I would call it a midterm review. Because I'm part of those that should be reviewed. And therefore to speak about...
Actually, in a very short while, we're going to go to the audience and ask how, in their view, Parliament has performed. But we'd like to hear from you.
Well, I must say it is a buffet. In terms of when we got on board in 2016 to date, Parliament is looked at as a vehicle that should catalyze democratic governance. It is at the core of the trinity of judiciary, executive, and itself. And for me, I would say that even the powers of Parliament are being absorbed by the executive to the extent that the Parliament is being rendered less important of the other two. And yet Parliament should be the lowest common multiple, that in mathematics we call it the common denominator in leveraging the executive and the judiciary. But at present, in terms of what we see, the amendments we did, there are also bills we passed. But if you look at bills we passed, there are bills that were passed with a lot of rambling. Inside Parliament, I sit in the opposition side. And when we went to amendments, the constitutional amendments, I thought that is where we performed worst since independence. Because the constitutional development of this country started in 1900, where the Baganda were cheated in 1900. And half of their land were taken. But we thought the 1962 constitution would now be the second process that would make the journey to democracy a real journey. But all that we lost in 67 and then 71. But 1995 constitution in the preamble, states very clearly, aware of our history, recognizing our struggles. Now, I thought those preambles should have made many of us who legislate to understand the context in which we represent. But instead, it is the contrary. People have forgotten the preamble of the Constitution. We have amended the Constitution within 95 to date to the extent that if this Constitution was a human being, it would be flooded with wounds all over its body.
All right, Honorable.
And therefore, looking at that trajectory, I think our performance in terms of constitutional development in this country, it is zero.
Okay, all right. Let me come to the audience. How, in your view, has the 10th Parliament performed? The gentleman in black put his hand up first. Yes, sir. Your name and your view very quickly.
Thank you so much. My name is Rob Justin, student at Makerere University.
Yes, Justin.
I think, to my view, the 10th Parliament is more of a liability than asset to the citizen of Uganda. One of the reasons is, if you look at one of the things which has been cited here about the 102 constitutional amendment, you look very clearly to the public when you're watching TV and you find that none of the citizens was surely free with their amendment, and yet the Parliament went on to do it based on their wish. In fact, they served themselves than serving the citizen they are representing.
All right.
My name is Wagaya Umar, doing
Yes,
Bachelor
Umar.
of Arts in Economics at Makerere University. Actually, to some extent, like the colleague has said, the Parliament has performed. But just as much as, but there was all the negative bit of it is weighing so much.
Okay. Let's take your question. Let's take one question from you then.
Okay, like on my side, I'm asking Honorable David.
Full call, yes.
We have seen that they have created very many districts, coming up with various MPs. Like you find that one district has 4 of them. Like those MPs, some of them, they are unproductive to the extent they are causing the increasing expenditure of the government. So what's your view about, do you think the creation of various districts is like good for the nation? Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, moderator, for giving me the opportunity. My name's Agea Tony, and I'm a social work student from Chambogo University. Yeah, I've been listening to this discussion, and I want to direct my observation to Member of Parliament. Your work has not been well perceived with the citizens, and I give a reason that many times when I watch on TV, my fellow MPs with disabilities and other MPs are missing a lot in action. They are not attending sessions at Parliament, and they leave their seats empty. So now I want to ask my honorable member of Parliament, why have the MPs continuously missed parliamentary discussions? And I heard that they have passed policies in Uganda. Why were policies passed when you were not attending Parliament? Thank you.
Thank you very much for that question. Yes, actually, give him a round of applause. And I would actually like to start with that question because one of your MPs is with us here, the Honorable Hood Katuramu, and he's represented people living with disability for a while. Honorable Katuramu.
I thank my constituent for his observation. But I want to inform my constituent, who is a student in Chambogo, that where he is studying in Chambogo, it was a big effort by members of parliament to establish UNICE, or Uganda National Institute for Special Needs, to be a component in that university in Chambogo. It never existed before. So I had wanted him to appreciate the do's and don'ts.
Well, I don't think he was coming from a point of not appreciating.
Yes.
He's concerned that MP seats are
yes,
empty.
that's what we are saying. That is not a good thing to make a judgment, because I think in particular he was looking at his MPs representing people with disability. I would have desired that members of parliament, all of them at the same time, are in the House, because that is the reason why they were elected, whether for people with disabilities or other constituencies. But it is also equally important to know the timetable for parliament. And I know that the African Leadership Institute before had earmarked that issue. One, parliament sessions, you find they are clashing with committee work. And I can give an example. Today is Friday. The Speaker convened Parliament to accomplish the process of budgeting, because it has a time frame.
It has a time frame. And Parliament is late. And that can't be the people's fault.
No, this is what I'm saying. What I'm trying to bring now. Now, for instance, I'm supposed to be in Parliament. I was supposed to be in Parliament. And I have been invited to this important show. How would I divide myself? And I informed Mr. Kamara, who invited me. He said, yes, I received this message last night. Unfortunately, my colleague, Honorable Komakech, is here, and he sits on my committee of Foreign Affairs. And he knew that this morning we talked about an issue which we had to resolve with him for Parliament. It is vital, but we had not really squeezed in the time to do that. So I appreciate your concerns. But if it is performance for members of Parliament for people with disability, I don't want to judge myself. It is very difficult to judge yourself. But I think as my constituency, look, we wanted the Affirmative Action Article 32 of the Constitution to be effective. And many people with disabilities at university level have benefited from that, because there is a special consideration in public universities to absorb people with disabilities to attain that level of education at university level.
All right. Honorable Pukol, there were questions to you.
Yes. I think, first of all, we are looking at the attendance of Parliament, because Parliament is, for talking, parler means to talk. And that's why the head of the House is called Speaker, not Sleeper. It's a place where you go and talk and dispose these things and make decisions. So attendance is a must. It's not like a radio station, you have call-in program. You can call from wherever you are. You have to be there physically. So we are looking at attendance of Parliament. We're looking at the participation of Parliament. We're looking at the influence these MPs wield. How do they weigh on the discussion, the debate of Parliament? So these are critical factors. Even in the committee work, we look at attendance. So Parliament has made modifications. It used to be an attendance register. Now that has been removed. They have brought electronic signature. So it should be easy that you log in your thumb and then you are recorded present.
The problem is there's no log out. So only you log in and...
It is also there. It is also there, please.
Is it being used?
Yes, yes.
Anyway.
You're not using log out?
Yes.
So citizens are demanding that it should be log in and log out so that you can see who is not there. Or when you stand out of your seat, the thing should electronically record that you are not actually on your seat, so that we know how much time you sat there and how much time you've been out. But anyway, that's accountability in many parliaments. Okay. But I come back to the question was, because I didn't have a pen, the question you asked was about districts.
Districts, yes. The fact that there are many districts, doesn't this make Parliament ineffective?
That's one of the things we're looking into, because the size of Parliament, and do they all get a chance to speak? So I cannot preempt the data. And when they stand up to speak, the amount of time they're given to speak has fallen to 3 minutes. And therefore, before even when you're just beginning, the bell is ringing. So, and yet if there were few, they would have more time to speak. So we want to look at how is that Parliament now organized. Do they have a speakers list that you record, I want to participate, you do research, a number of you who can do justice to this topic. And then when others come, only you're given 10 minutes or 15 minutes. Right. So that now when the rest come with their 3 minutes, at least the quality of debate. Is that how the institution is organized? We don't know. Okay. But with the data will speak to itself.
All right. Hippo, the bell has also rung on us. We have to go for a break. But let's hear very quickly from you. This issue of non-attendance has been on for a long time. How do you find a solution for it?
It's actually an empirical regularity from National Resistance Council to the present parliament, that issue of quorum. Where I beg to differ with the Honorable Katuramu. I think not everybody that misses the quorum in parliament or in a committee is doing parliamentary work. There are some who miss when they are doing their private business. And this was very common in 7th Parliament from the data which we have, and 8th Parliament. There could be different reasons why it is occurring here that haven't researched. But the majority of MPs do not attend parliamentary sessions because they are attending to their personal businesses, whereas it is a full-time job. There is evidence that we can adduce in research.
Okay. All right, a full-time job that's paid for by the people of Uganda. Let's go for a break. We will continue the discussion after the break. Welcome back from the break. We're glad that you've stayed with us here on Face the Citizens. Today we're discussing the role of the 10th Parliament and how this Parliament is performing at its constitutional and also roles expected of them from the people. My name is Iguma Gabriel, your host, and we're having this discussion with Honorable Leandro Komakech, the MP for Gulu Municipality, Mr. Twebaze Hippo, he's a consultant who studies parliaments, the Honorable David Pulkol from the African Leadership Institute, and the Honorable Hood Katuramu, MP for People with Disabilities in the 10th Parliament, but also chairperson of the Foreign Affairs Committee. Let's come to the audience to take some more questions.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm Claire, a student at Chambogo University. I'm pursuing a bachelor's degree of community-based rehabilitation. I want to start by thanking the organizers of this event and the presence of our honorable MPs from our country, Uganda. I'm very much concerned about, this goes to my honorable member of parliament from my constituency. I'm so much concerned about inclusive education, affirmative action, and education in general, employment, and accessibility. Personally, I'm a victim. Actually, I'm hoping for a key solution towards my education challenge, that is through my honorable member of parliament. You're saying there is affirmative action and there is inclusive education. But some of us, we are not helped, though you're saying that we are helped, but we are suffering and we want to study. Because a person with disability without education, that is a total dependence. But we want to be independent. How? If there are people accessing affirmative action, but there are us who are not accessing. So which, you said when you are defining laws that they are passed to cure some diseases or a disease. So how can my disease or challenge be cured through you? Because I believe you have good solutions for this.
All right.
Then accessibility.
We need...
I'd like to sum up.
Okay, very quickly, because we need to get other
accessibility.
People as well.
It is my first time my eyes to see you, honorable member of parliament, Mr. Katuramu. I'm so happy to see you. So how comes that we don't really access you and that bureaucracy? When we come to your offices, it is very hard to see you people. You be in your offices and you be on those high floors. Some of us, it is very hard for mobility to access those high buildings. So how can we access? Then which action plan do you have for employment for us? Since the policy says no one should be left behind, but there is no access to wage employment for people with disabilities in this country. So what do you have for us? Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Claire. She told you she doesn't get to see you, so she got all the questions and gave them to you in one go.
My name is Bruno. I'm
yes,
a lawyer and a farmer as well. Coming to 10th Parliament, I think in my opinion, it has performed poorly. And I want to ask the members of parliament here, why are you doing most of the legislation and oversight to favor a few individuals? We have the bills here. Most of them are designed to help a certain sector of people or individuals. We have not seen many laws that are in public interest. We have climate change. It is a very, very pressing issue in Uganda here. We have hunger, we have water crisis. I haven't seen most of our parliamentarians and even the experts here advising our parliamentarians to come up and fill that gap to legislate in public interest.
All right.
Thank you very much.
They passed a law on minimum wage, though. Yes, sir.
Thank you so much, our moderator and the panelists. To the 10th Parliament, I must say it's as if they are in the scramble and partition of Uganda. Majority of the bills they have passed into acts are just in the favor of one individual and one regime. I just don't know where lies the future of this country.
Bruno, are you a lawyer?
My name is Alex.
Oh, sorry, Alex, sorry. Are you a lawyer?
Not really.
Not a total denial either, but okay.
Well, I just would like to ask a few questions to the panelists and most especially our members of parliament.
Unfortunately, we have time for just one. Just one question.
I'll just summarize 1, 2. I just would like to seek their opinion or their consent if really they think they are serving the interests of Ugandans by passing some of the bills into acts. If they think they are serving the interests of Ugandans, therefore, where lies the future of this country after the Museveni regime? Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. I'm Emma. The Member of Parliament representing the people with disabilities is already demanding from the students that he has already given them a platform in Chambogo University. And yet they are citizens of the Republic of Uganda who owe allegiance to the state. And therefore, who are bosses to these MPs whose taxpayers is meant to sustain them. So therefore, I reject the position of Member of Parliament representing the people with disabilities. Thank you.
So he just rejected it. Okay.
I would like to begin with the legislative productivity of the 10th Parliament has been too low. In that, for your information, within a period of just 3 years, these guys have passed bills that are 4 to 5 times more than the 9th Parliament. And most of these are being regarded as from the 9th Parliament. So what they're doing, and they're passing them half-baked, in that you pass a bill, and in the next few months, you are amending that very bill. So you're doing us bad. Then appropriation. Like, for example, the issue of the Kabowa Hospital investor. You realize the person
You mean the Lubowa Hospital?
Yeah.
Okay.
You realize the person is given a title an investor, and the very person needs to be given money from the government, taxpayers' money, to invest. Really? The parliament is doing us bad.
Thank you for those questions. Unfortunately, I'm afraid we might not be able to give comprehensive answers, but I'd like to ask the panel to answer the questions as quickly as possible and to give detail where it's possible. Honorable Hood, let's begin with you because many of the questions seem to be directed at you.
I'm very happy because, of course, that is a justification that the disability community in Uganda, there is a lot that they need in order to help them perform. And I want to appreciate what my sister has said, that she's saying that accessibility, this is one of the core areas of our concern. And my sister, if you visited Parliament, I don't think that you failed to have a ramp if you had a wheelchair, because it is provided for. And the Parliament of Uganda is accessible because it has functional lifts on any floor.
All right. Are the MPs
yes.
accessible?
Yes, yes.
Well, the audience doesn't seem to think the MPs are accessible.
I think it is the individual, not the audience.
Okay, let's, Honorable Leandro, one of the questions that was asked was, are you passing laws in the interest of people, and how do you assess yourselves on that? I know you had touched on it in your opening remarks as well.
Well, I think this is a patchwork of failure, patchwork of successes, and in terms of my overview, I think some of the laws we have passed, especially bills that were brought by government, some are good for the country, yes. But there are many others, like when you look at this OTT, all these small issues, it has really affected the people of Uganda. When you go anywhere, they tell you in the village that, is this what we sent you for? You just get the performance just at the mobile money point. Now, these are things I've tested myself. And then they said, but now you are also suffering the same. You want to send this money. So I think for us, it is a time of what we call reflection. It is, in Kiswahili, I would call it tafakari, where you need to have this assessment. Are we doing this for the future of this country and for the people who are here now? So these are serious issues that we as members of parliament,
all right,
I feel we have a very big baggage, and I think the 2 years remaining should be a time that should be measured to the extent that we must be seen to do good for this country.
All right.
Then, at the end, we can say, okay, you balance up everything else. But as of now, we are not performing well in terms of the standard where this country should be going.
All right. One of the things Honorable Komakech has raised is the fact that they are left with 2 years. From your experience studying parliaments and actually working very closely with parliament, the last 2 years of parliament, how do the MPs perform?
Oh, horrible. Because they are going to constituencies now. The experience is that once you get into the 1 year and a half elections, you will not see any MP in parliament. That's most of the time when actually you have the biggest number of absences in terms of lack of quorum.
All right.
But let me address this one technical issue about legislative productivity, which was raised by the gentleman across. 10th Parliament and 9th Parliament, despite all its problems, must be saluted for two things from the technical point of view. The first one is the idea of adopting or inheriting bills that had lapsed in the past Parliament.
Because previously,
what happened, bills would have gone up to the second reading. Government has spent over 200 million on MPs when they're processing those bills. And when Parliament ends, they say, no, this is a lapse. That's a property of, it's not a property of this Parliament. But the Speaker must be saluted. She put her foot on the ground.
Okay.
That we must, it's actually a precedent. We must have a new precedent. Final technical point. One observation you will see is that there are more private members' bills in 8th and 10th, in 9th and 10th Parliament than previous parliaments. And these private members' bills, although some are in the interest of what you are talking about, but there are those which are important. They call it, like this one of workers, wage bill, minimum wage bill. It is in the interest of the public.
Okay.
And there are very many bills, private members' bills about children, about disability,
environment,
that would not have, the government did not table them, but private members' bills that are.
All right. Honorable Komakech wanted to add something very quickly.
No, just a footnote to his submission is about this private members' bill. I just want to also state that there's one which we also generated, which actually we shall pass, the National Legal Aid Bill, which is directly going to affect the citizens of this country. The National Legal Aid Bill is all about access to justice by the poor. You cannot have poor people in this country going to seek legal redress in court by lawyers who cannot give you the access. So this bill is going to empower citizens of this country to access any court and will be facilitated by the government of Uganda to represent them.
Honorable
and I think this would be one of the amazing
I hope
in terms of what
I hope that law can be passed before this parliament
It is.
starts politicking and going for re-election.
It is. It has
Honorable
gone
Komakech, very quickly. Yes, sir.
Very quickly, citizens, let's not dismiss this parliament. We are still searching for evidence. Like, no, we're going to give you the results. Order. When there was a problem in Kasese, for example, Parliament went in and had a public hearing. and came with a report. So we're going to look and say what happened in the report, or when was it tabled, but at least some quiet. When there was a problem of nodding disease, for example, it was raised by MPs in Parliament. The minister tried to deny. The MPs asserted themselves. And then Parliament put a committee which went to the north and had public hearings. Citizens were given a chance to listen. And then they came with a report, and Parliament took a report and found that the minister had lied. But then they also passed a supplementary budget to support that. So there could be certain good areas that this Parliament has performed. Let's get evidence and then engage them based on that evidence.
All right. Honorable Pulkol, very briefly now, what should the citizens now be looking out for these last 2 years to ensure that this Parliament actually does what they want?
What we're looking for now is that in the past we used to say they have passed this number of laws. For us now, that's not important. We are going to law by law, section by. We are doing a content analysis, and therefore which one is sitting badly with the Constitution, which one is taking away rights, or which one is. So we're going to pass even which laws are legislating for industry, which ones are legislating for investors, which ones are legislating for executive, which ones have citizens' interests at par. So when you look at the previous, in the 8th Parliament, you found that the first year attendance was 23%. In the second year, it went to 45%. By third year, it had gone to 55%. So we are looking even at the productivity of the committees. How many reports?
What of the 4th and the 5th year?
Because of the time.
We're out of time. We would like to know what 4th and 5th year were like.
But the 5th year, it started coming down for the reasons that Hippo said, because the ground is hotter, and most MPs are trying to defend, they want to be more close to the citizens now, and so forth. So when you come to the productivity, we're also tracking law bills. What was put in that committee, it's supposed to take 45 days maximum. Now, most of them have even taken 7 years in the committee. So we are doing a parliamentary tracking of bills. Again, when Parliament is taking a decision, is there a provision for the minister to come back in 60 days to report action, like it's happening in other parliaments like Zambia and so forth? So boys and girls, it's a deep research.
All right.
You'll have the data.
We have to
and then you can engage them on.
We have to leave it here because we are completely out of time. But the Parliament is a group of representatives of the people. There's a mandate they're supposed to execute according to the Constitution. It is your role to hold your MP accountable. Otherwise, you can't blame them if you didn't do your part. Thank you for being part of this show. Until next time, thank you for being a good audience. Goodbye. God bless you.